All right, here's the next part of the project. Got the floor down. Got my lovely wife working with me. And then we're got the walls going for the kiln. This one with these L studs going up, that's for the side walls. It's going to be starting at an angle and going up. It's going to be pretty tall. Going to be a lot of difficult calculations for getting some good angles. And unfortunately, after all my work trying to level the floor, it is not level. So I tried to put in way too many cinder blocks and kept trying to fight it to get it level, and it did not get level. But I'm working with what I got and moving forward. I'll let you know what I do next. All right, so now that we got the walls put up, this is just the skeleton of the building. It's a little taller than I intended it to be. Look at the comparison between the 30 by 40 workshop and the solar kiln. It's pretty high up there. But I'm gonna be able to stack lumber here and then lumber all the way up to right about there. So that's gonna make a huge difference. I still have a lot more work to do. I've got temporary studs holding the header up until I make that a little bit beefier. And the doors are gonna be about 8 feet tall, probably a little bit less, and then about 5 feet wide each. Getting the hardware soon. There's my son Sawyer. He's checking out the solar kiln. And so, yeah, it was a little precarious working up here, getting this header up, but it worked out okay. I'm noticing so many things are not square and not level, so that's causing some issues, but overall, it's coming together. I'm gonna be putting up pallet walls on the side for the siding, but that's going to be a lot of pallets, so I might change my mind about that and change to plywood. This is gonna have to be moved out of the way so I can work on this wall. That's a bummer, but it's just how it is. But there you go. I will let you know the next step is. All right, so this is the next step of the process. We got these joists going up and then the cross joists for the plastic to sit on. And they're about 2 feet apart going this way and 2 feet apart going that way between the joists. And that's just gonna give the roof enough structural strength that it kind of ties everything in together. It's not square, not perfect by any means. The floor is not doing so well. I might need to put some plywood down on the base. And but yeah, the next step is going to be working on the doors, and after that I'll stretch out the plastic on top perhaps, but if it catches too much wind I might just have to take the plastic down and work on the siding and get everything locked in so that there's not a bunch of draft going in and making that plastic flap and break off. But yeah, I'll fill you in on the next step once I get there. All right, so I got the floor in last night. It's this plastic flooring that I got for free from our local church. And I'm hoping it's gonna work as a little bit of a vapor barrier, and maybe slightly with insulation, because I did not insulate below the floor. I am gonna cover this with black plastic to get some more heat from the sun, to heat up the floor when the sun is out. Everything is fairly well framed except for the doors. Let me back up a little bit here. So it's a beautiful sunny day, gonna get up to 60 degrees, which is great for February here in northern Indiana. So it's definitely not perfect, but I think it will work. I made this bigger than the Virginia Tech plans that I found online. That was for like a 6 feet wide by about 12 to 13 feet long kiln, but this is 8 feet wide by 12 feet long that way. So it's a little bit bigger. I wanted to go over some of the supplies that I got to keep costs down. For example, the cinder blocks I had gotten for free. I got about 40 of those. Might have been a little bit of overkill. The piers that I used on the base weren't in the best condition. Probably not the best choice, but they were free and they did help make quick work of the floor. And they can handle a pretty big load until they rot, of course, so that would be an issue. So my goal is gonna try to maybe put like some kind of mesh so that animals can get in there between the cinder blocks and the floor, so you can get airflow in there and keep it dry. We'll see if that will work or not. The framing, I waited quite a while for Menards to have the 2x4x8 rebate for $2 each. So I got them for $3 each, and I got 50 of them for $150, and I'm getting a $50 rebate back for Menards credit. And I shop at Menards all the time, so that worked out great. Let's see, what else? The siding is a bit of an issue. I'm still trying to keep my costs pretty low, so I'm trying to side it with pallet boards, but taking apart that many pallets is going to be a pain in the butt. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to go through with that. And if I did do pallet boards, I would need some additional framing to make that work, but we'll see. It's probably the route I'm going to go. Gonna pick up more pallets today. Let's see what else. The plastic that's gonna go over this is a greenhouse plastic that I'm gonna put on, 6 mil. It was $45 on Amazon. That should be plenty big for this project. I think it was about 45. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Let's see. I got solar powered fans. Here's my miniature solar kiln over here. This is just basically a trash can holder. Here's the solar panel for the fan. I've got a bunch of walnut in here, and I think you should be able to at least hear the fan. And it's really hard to see, but it's already 105 degrees, and it's just about lunchtime. So not too bad. So during the summer, if I do this correctly and I insulate it, oh, that's another material. I got some foam board insulation for free and some fiberglass insulation for free. A lot of times it's just people that I know, or stuff from church, or most of the time it's Facebook Marketplace is where I got the cinder blocks and the piers. And then I'm getting all my pallets from a company that gets a lot of pallets, and then they give them away for free, and they fill up my trailer with big loads of pallets. So I think I'm missing some materials. Oh, screws. I paid for screws. Screws were about $25 for a 5-pound box. I got deck screws and then regular construction screws. The deck screws I think were $30 at Menards, but I cannot quite remember. I'll have to look at my receipts. But overall, it's coming together, and it's getting more sturdy. The one concern I had is because this isn't a permanent building, the wind is going to come from the south in the summer and springtime, and it's going to come up and hit this either at the side or straight up and go over the plastic. If the doors were open and it created a draft, that could be potentially dangerous for it to like come off the cinder blocks, and the plastic could potentially become like a giant sail, and especially if I got wind from the north coming inside, could push it off the blocks towards the south. So I might try to put some kind of stakes, maybe some metal stakes in the corners, maybe to keep it in place. Something that won't make this a permanent building, but still is gonna try to keep it more secure from blowing away. And with a heavy load, everything is fastened together. The floor is fastened to the floor. The whole structure is all fastened to the floor. And so with a heavy load of lumber, that should weigh it down enough. Plenty. But if it was empty, then that could be a problem. But I will let you know, and I could do an edited, updated video if something like that were to happen. All right, that's all for today. Got to work on the doors. Thanks for watching. All right, I got the basic frame for the doors done. There's quite a bit of a gap there that I'm hoping to fill with some kind of insulated flap. I got these hinges off Amazon. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description below for those hinges. But yeah, they open up. They are almost 5x8 doors, just a little bit under 8 feet tall and just barely over 5 feet wide. But the hinges seem to work fine. I used cedar. This cedar I got for 93% off at Lowe's. They were having some crazy sale on it because nobody wanted to buy them. They were like $28 per board. I got them for $2.88, I think, per board. That was just I think in December maybe. And so I got 50 cedar boards, and they're so lightweight, and I thought they would be perfect for the doors. I try to leave just enough gap for the top and bottom, and they kind of want to stay open, so I'll have to try to figure out a way to get them to stay shut. That one's staying shut, and they're just a little tight on the bottom, but really easy to open. Kind of a hassle to close right now, but since they're holding there at the bottom, they're staying closed. So All right, that's it for now. And now it's time to do the grueling work of taking apart a ton of pallets. I am not looking forward to that. We'll see how that goes. I might give up. Not sure. Might just try to do plywood in the end if I get sick of cutting up pallets, which I'm sure that I will. But I'll let you know how it turns out. All right, so I've got treated plywood on the sides. And instead of doing pallet wood, which saved me a lot of time, I do like the look of pallet wood, so I might eventually put it on the sides, but for now it's covered. I used a total of 8 sheets of treated plywood, and I've got 2 just regular plastic register vents up there. That's for letting some of the hot air out. Then I've got 2 vents on one door on the bottom, 2 vents on the other door on the bottom, and that's for letting some of that moisture out. So I'll do about a third of a turn on the rotation to let air out once a month, and do that at the end of each month for 3 months, and then the third month, after the third month, it will just kind of let it dry. But I will kind of practice with that and see how well it works. Earlier it was pretty warm inside here. Right now it's not, because the sun's over there and it's about almost 6 o'clock. So I've got one solar powered fan. They're really small, but they do move a decent amount of air, and that will help this thing be run for free. However, if I want to get more airflow, I think I will just get some cheap box fans and run them. However, I think I estimated 3 box fans would cost me $30 per month to run 24/7. So, but I might cut that down to just during the time that the sun is out at its and the kiln is the hottest, but we'll see. So the outside is pretty much done, and the next part is insulating and insulating the doors, putting black plastic on the inside, then insulation over top of that, and then another layer of black plastic over that, and that should help it stay nice and warm in here. Hopefully get it nice and hot even on these 50-degree days or 40-degree days. So that's pretty much it for now. Yeah, these are just floor register vents. They were pretty inexpensive, so I got them, closing them right now. I might have to put once I cover this up with insulation, I'm gonna need to put some wire mesh over these so that bees or bugs and wasps don't make their home in here, because they're gonna get fried once it gets hot. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I will fill you in on the next step. It's coming along, and hopefully in the next month or so, or hopefully sooner, I'll actually get some lumber in there to get drying. All right, thanks for watching. A cedar door handle for the Solar Kiln. Well, I made some cedar handles for the kiln and a little lock so I can... Oops. There we go. Now I can open and close it. Very simple. right, I've got everything insulated and I wrapped everything in black plastic just to kind of add to the heat in the solar kiln. I might end up putting some black plastic on the floor to even bring in more heat, but I gotta clean the floor and get this plywood out of here. But I used some scrap blue foam from the doors and some scrap pink insulation, and then I ended up needing another roll of about 40 feet. That was $50 at Menards. So, but yeah, it's getting warm, and the next thing is to build a ramp here to get up in there so I can just bring a dolly and bring in a load of lumber. But yeah, I think that will be the next step. Let's get a load of lumber. I'm not super happy with these solar powered fans. They're just too small and they don't really produce that much air movement, but it does produce some, and it is free energy, but it's not really going to make that much of a return on my money as far as drying the lumber in here. So I ordered 3 20-inch box fans for $30, $10 a piece. So we'll put those in here, and that won't really get the air moving. It'll be way more than this, especially if I put them on high. I'll probably try to set them on some sort of a timer, or just turn them off at night and turn them on in the morning. But that's pretty much it. It's pretty much ready to go. So I'll just wait for those fans to come in and get this ramp going and a load of lumber. All right, I ended up building this ramp with the main focus on support is right here in the center to take a load with a dolly to go up here. They're still pretty well supported all the way through, but here definitely has a lot more support. And just used scraps from doing the solar kiln for these angles, and used some pallet wood just to kind of beef it up in the center underneath, and it looks pretty stable. Everything's pretty much ready to go. Got to empty and clean out the kiln, and I'm gonna put in these box fans. I've got 3 of these. So I think, if I remember correctly, if I ran these 24/7, each one would cost me maybe $10 a month, so $30 a month. But I am gonna use it for about a third of that time, and only when the sun is out. So only for about 8 hours a day, and run this. So that will bring me to about $10 a month and $120 a year to run the solar kiln. I got to figure out if I can set a timer to go off when the sun is up, because it really is kind of a waste to run the fans during the night when it's cool. And I might even leave them off on overcast days like today, because like right now it's reading only about 95 degrees. So it's not very warm in there, and the high was 95, 86 degrees, and it's like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So when it's overcast, I won't be running those fans. But I bought those fans for $10 each. These 2 silly little things cost me, I think, like $80, and honestly, kind of a waste of money. It is free air movement, but not really worth it. I have them. I'm going to use them, but for the most part, they're pretty much junk. Would need something that's much bigger solar panel, bigger, more air movement, more power. But yeah, that's it for right now. All right, I've got the ramp up, and then I've got the 20-inch box fans. So I'm pretty sure if I only run it for a max of 8 hours per day during the sunniest times of the day, it should cost me $10 or less per month. I might not be right about that math. That depends with electricity prices going up and down. Got the floral clean. Now I'm ready for lumber. Pretty excited. And when you go in here, there's a lot of air movement in here, so it's working pretty good. Well, I just got a small load in there. My wife was very gracious and she helped me load these in. I've got some very wide sycamore. That's about 28 inches, 27 inches wide maybe. Some 16-inch cherry on top of that. And this one has a big void. Gets up to about maybe 20 inches wide. These were done with the chainsaw mill, so they're much rougher. And there's burn marks from the bar getting too hot. So that's what that discoloring is. But overall, they're very light. They've already dried a little bit over a year's time. So we'll see how quickly they'll dry. But I did want to get these thicker slabs on the bottom. But yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right, so I got another load in. This is all either red oak or black oak. This is for sure red oak. And the cherry measured about 16% moisture content. This cherry also. This sycamore down there is closer to 20, maybe more. Then I'll have to measure these. These are probably pretty close. And moisture content, that's pretty standard for Indiana, is about 14% when it's air dried. So I'm trying to get this down to about 6%. 8% would be okay. Will it take a whole 3 months to get it down to that? Not sure. Might be. It could be a lot less. But I can still store a whole new stack all the way up to about 6 feet or taller. But that's gonna have to be shorter stuff because the bigger slabs are harder to get up that high. But I can definitely pile another stack, maybe some smaller stuff on top of this one. I don't want it to be too rickety on there. This is pretty solid. There's not a whole lot of wobble. This one has quite a bit of wobble to it. That's probably the sycamore is pretty badly warped underneath. So these cherry might not be in the best spot being on top of the sycamore, but so these were all cut about a year ago at a cemetery. I milled these with the chainsaw mill, and so this is most of my work from those projects, and then the rest is done on my Harbor Freight sawmill. So that will be coming in here pretty soon once I get the time to load it up, and then I'll shut it up. Keep an eye on the moisture, the humidity in this solar kiln, and I'm going to be turning these fans off at night and when it's overcast, because they're just pushing cold air around, which isn't helping them dry necessarily. But we'll see how it goes, and then I'll either do a second update or a different video for that, but this solar kiln build video is almost complete. All right, I got the solar kiln completely loaded. There's a little bit of space, but it's not much. I got my little guy right here. That's Sawyer. He just turned 3. But yeah, that's a full load. It's got elm, walnut, cherry, sycamore, maple, just a little bit of maple right there, last couple. And but yeah, this is about just about 6 feet tall. So, and then there's another stacks over there. Oh yeah, thank you. Time to close it up, and it did get up to 95 at some point. Humidity is down because I got the doors open, and temperature is down as well. But once I get this closed up, then I'll be ready to go. So that sums up the solar kiln build, and everything's running smoothly. I changed the timer for the fans to go from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That seems to be the best time for it. I might extend that a little bit, especially on the really sunny days like today, and then turn it off on the cloudy days because it just doesn't generate enough heat. I had a cargo strap this big pile of lumber because it was just too wobbly, and I didn't want it to, as it dries, to fall forward against the doors and then not be able to get the doors open. So hopefully everything dries really well in here, and we'll see how it turns out.